Welcome to the Lucky Health Channel. I'm so happy you've joined our health community today. We're about to explore some truly valuable health knowledge, and I promise your body will thank you for it. If you're new to our channel, please hit the subscribe button. It's like joining our big health-loving family. And a quick like on this video will give us even more motivation to keep sharing helpful videos with more wonderful people like you. Thank you. I want you to imagine this for a moment. You wake up one morning feeling like everything's just fine, until your arm suddenly feels heavy, your speech starts to slur, and your legs can barely hold you. In that instant, it's like your life takes a sharp turn. I've seen many patients like that, careful, disciplined people. They didn't smoke, didn't drink, exercised regularly, and truly believed they were doing the right thing for their health. Part of their daily routine, taking vitamins. And you know what? Sometimes those very pills were part of the problem. One of my patients, Mrs. Helen, 68 years old, once told me, "Doctor, I was just taking a few vitamins, for my bones, for my memory." How did it come to this? She had suffered a mild stroke in her sleep. And the cause: not high blood pressure, not diabetes, but months of high-dose vitamins, self-prescribed, taken without any medical guidance. Have you ever wondered whether those tiny pills, vitamin D, B6, niacin, are really as harmless as they seem? I've been a doctor for over 30 years. And let me tell you this, after 60, our bodies no longer process things the way they used to. Our blood vessels lose flexibility. The liver and kidneys slow down. And the brain becomes more vulnerable, especially at night when blood pressure shifts and circulation changes. Science shows us if you take the wrong dose at the wrong time or mix vitamins randomly with heart meds or blood thinners, they can quietly raise your risk of stroke, brain bleeds, or cause your blood pressure to spike without warning. What's heartbreaking is that so many older adults still believe more is better, or that vitamins are always safe. But the truth, not always. And because of that belief, they never stop to ask, am I overdoing it? Should I get this checked? I'm sharing this not to scare you, but to remind you our bodies are incredibly sensitive. And it's not habits alone, but understanding that truly protects your health. So let me ask you, when was the last time you really looked at that bottle of vitamins on your shelf and asked yourself, do I really need this? Is it helping or quietly doing harm? If you haven't asked that yet, maybe today is the right time to start. I want to tell you a true story, one I'll never forget. Mrs. Evelyn, 81 years old, a retired librarian from Ohio, walked into my clinic one afternoon with a soft smile and a bottle of vitamin E in her hand. She said, "I read in a magazine that vitamin E is good for the heart and memory, so I've been taking it every day for almost a year now. 800 IU, the natural kind. Doctor?" At first, everything seemed fine. But one morning, she woke up with a pounding headache, slurred speech, nausea, and dizziness. When she was rushed to the hospital, a brain scan showed something terrifying. A brain hemorrhage. Not from high blood pressure, not from a fall, but because her blood had become too thin. Have you ever heard people say that vitamin E protects the heart, improves blood flow, or prevents heart attacks? That's only true within a very narrow range. High doses, 200 IU, 400 IU, even up to 1,000 IU. Like many over-the-counter bottles, especially when taken with blood thinners like aspirin, warfarin, or Plavix, can make the blood too thin. Science calls it the natural blood-thinning effect of vitamin E. But in older adults, where blood vessels are already fragile, it takes just one tiny capillary in the brain to leak, and the result can be a hemorrhagic stroke, leaving you unable to speak with memory loss or permanent disability. I still remember Mrs. Evelyn tears in her eyes whispering to me in the recovery room, "I just wanted to protect my heart." I didn't know I was putting my brain at risk. So if you're taking heart medications or blood thinners and you're also supplementing with vitamin E on your own, please pause for a moment. Check the label. Talk to your doctor. Your heart deserves protection, but not at the cost of your brain. Have you ever held a vitamin E capsule in your hand and asked yourself, could this be too much? If not, maybe today is the time to ask. I want you to picture this. One quiet afternoon, Mrs. Dorothy, 79 years old, a retired piano teacher, walked into my clinic with a worried look on her face. She said, "Lately, I've been having headaches, blurry vision, dizziness. Sometimes, while teaching, the notes on the sheet music just start to blur. I'm scared I might be having a stroke, or worse, a brain tumor." We ran all the tests, no blood clots, no tumors. But after a detailed blood test and a deep dive into her supplement history, I found the real issue. Mrs. Dorothy had been taking high doses of vitamin A for years. One bottle for skin, another for eye health, a multivitamin, all adding up to over 10,000 IU per day. Now, maybe you've heard that vitamin A is good for your eyes, for your skin, and even helps you stay youthful. And yes, that's true in moderation. But here's what many people don't realize: vitamin A is fat-soluble, which means your body doesn't easily flush out the extra like it does with vitamin C or B. Instead, it builds up in your liver and tissues. And for older adults, when the liver and kidneys are already slowing down, that buildup happens even faster. The result: increased pressure inside the skull causing headaches, blurred vision, dizziness, and balance issues. In medicine, we call it pseudotumor cerebri, a condition where it feels like there's a brain tumor, but the real culprit is excess vitamin A. In reality, older adults only need about 2,500 to 3,000 IU of vitamin A per day. And most of that can come from food, like carrots, pumpkin, and eggs. But when people take multiple supplements all labeled for eyes or for skin, they often stack up the dose without even realizing it. I still remember the relief in Mrs. Dorothy's eyes when I told her, "You don't have a brain tumor or a stroke. It's just too much vitamin A." She smiled and said, "I never thought too many vitamins could be a bad thing." So let me ask you, have you ever opened your supplement cabinet, seen several different bottles, all saying eye support or skin health, and stopped to ask, how much vitamin A am I actually taking every day? If not, maybe today is the day to count. I want you to picture this. One morning, Mr. Thomas, years old, walked into my clinic. His hands were trembling, his step slow, and his eyes filled with worry. He said, "Lately, I've been having numb feet, weak hands, memory problems. I figured it was just old age, but I heard folic acid is good for the brain, so I've been taking it every day for the past year." I asked him a few more questions, and he pulled out a bottle of high-dose folic acid, 200 micrograms per tablet taken religiously every single day. He truly believed he was doing something good, protecting his brain, preventing anemia, just like the ads promised. But in reality, that high dose of folic acid was actually hiding a serious problem, a vitamin B12 deficiency. You've probably heard people say that folic acid is important for memory nerves and preventing anemia, and that's true, to a point. But here's the catch. As we get older, our bodies naturally absorb less B12. And if you take too much folic acid, it can actually mask the signs of B12 deficiency, delaying diagnosis until permanent nerve damage has already begun. Numbness, muscle weakness, even confusion and cognitive decline. Worse yet, long-term use of high-dose folic acid has been linked in some studies to an increased risk of prostate and colon cancer. The truth is, older adults only need around 400 to 600 micrograms of folic acid per day, and that can easily be met through a healthy diet. Leafy greens, beans, whole grains. I still remember what I told Mr. Thomas that day. Your body doesn't need more to stay healthy. It just needs the right amount in the right way. So let me ask you, have you ever looked at the label on your supplement bottle and asked yourself, am I taking too much? Do I really need this high a dose? If you haven't, maybe today is the day to start paying attention to those tiny numbers, because sometimes less really is better. I want you to picture this. It was a quiet morning when Mr. Harold, 76 years old, slowly walked into my clinic. His voice was soft, a bit worried as he said, "Doctor, lately my hands and feet feel numb. I have trouble walking. My hands tremble and my mind feels foggy. I'm scared I might have Parkinson's or Alzheimer's." But after I asked a few questions and looked closer, the truth became clear. For the past year, he'd been taking a so-called brain and nerve booster that was heavily advertised. Each pill had 100 milligrams of vitamin B6, and he was taking 2 every single day. That's 200 milligrams daily, which is dozens of times more than the body actually needs. Now, maybe you've heard that B6 is good for nervous system health, memory, and energy. That's not wrong, but only when used in proper amounts within the body's natural limits. In reality, older adults only need about 2 to 10 milligrams per day, and they can easily get that from foods like chicken, fish, bananas, and sweet potatoes. But when you take high doses of B6 for too long, it flips and becomes the enemy. It starts damaging the protective sheath around your nerves, kind of like an electrical wire losing its insulation. The result: numbness, muscle weakness, balance issues, tremors, confusion. And if it's not caught early enough, some of those nerve damages may never fully heal. I still remember Mr. Harold letting out a heavy sigh and saying, "I just wanted to keep my brain sharp. I didn't know I was hurting myself." So let me ask you this. Have you ever picked up that bottle of supplements and asked yourself, is this too much for my body? If you haven't yet, maybe today's the day to look. Read that label, because sometimes just a little is already enough, and more doesn't always mean better. I want you to imagine that morning Mr. Richard, 70 years old, sat in front of me with a confused look on his face. He said, "Doctor, for the past month I've had this dull pain in my side and it burns when I pee. I don't eat salty foods. I drink plenty of water. So why am I getting kidney stones?" And when I asked a few more questions, he finally admitted something. For the past year, he'd been taking 2,000 milligrams of vitamin C every single day. He believed it would keep him from getting sick, slow down aging, and help his heart and skin stay young. Have you ever thought that more vitamin C is always better? That it's harmless, just like drinking orange juice or lemon water? I used to believe that too, until I started seeing patients like Mr. Richard. Here's the truth. Yes, in the right amounts, around 75 to 90 milligrams per day. Vitamin C is great for your immune system wound, healing, and as an antioxidant. But when you push that dose to 1,000, 2,000 milligrams daily for long periods, your body starts converting the excess into oxalate. And those oxalate crystals, they build up in your kidneys and form stones. Even worse if you have heart issues, high blood pressure, or irregular heartbeat. Too much vitamin C can trigger diarrhea, upset your electrolyte balance, and even cause your heart rhythm to go off track. I'll never forget Mr. Richard's surprised look when I told him, "Your body only needs what's in a single orange and a handful of leafy greens each day. You don't need a fistful of pills to stay healthy." Let me ask you, have you ever paused in front of your bottle of vitamin C and asked yourself, how much am I really taking every day? And do I even need that much? If not, maybe today's the right time to take a closer look, because sometimes balance, not excess, is the real key to long-lasting health. I want you to imagine this moment. It was early morning when Mr. Walter, 74 years old, a retired Navy veteran, walked into my clinic. His voice was shaky. He said, "Doctor, I exercise, I eat well. So why did I have a stroke in my sleep?" After running some tests, we discovered something surprising. His blood had dangerously high levels of calcium. His blood vessels were stiff, and there were signs of tiny clots forming. And the cause. And it was the vitamin D pills he'd been taking faithfully every day for a whole year. 10,000 IU a day without ever checking his blood levels. You've probably heard that vitamin D is good for your bones, your immune system, even your mood. And yes, it absolutely is. But like many things in life, too much can quietly turn into a burden. Vitamin D helps your body absorb calcium, that's true. But if you take too much when your body doesn't actually need it, the excess calcium can build up in your bloodstream and settle in your arteries. That makes blood vessels stiff and raises the risk of blood clots. And for older adults where blood vessels are already more fragile, this silent buildup can lead to strokes, sometimes even during sleep. I still remember what I told Mr. Walter. You weren't wrong to care about your bones. You just went too far without keeping track. The truth is, most people over 60 only need vitamin D if they're truly deficient, and in much lower doses than the 5,000 to 10,000 IU pills sold over the counter. What matters most is getting a blood test, taking your dose in the morning, and never increasing it, just because you think more is better. Have you ever held a bottle of vitamin D and asked yourself, when was the last time I had my blood checked? Do I even need this much? If not, maybe today's the day to start asking, because sometimes a small moment of awareness can protect you from a life-changing event. I want you to picture this. It's a quiet morning, and Mr. Frank, 82 years old, a retired postal worker, walks into my clinic. His face is flushed red, beads of sweat on his forehead, hands trembling slightly as he rests them on my desk. He says, "Doctor, every morning I wake up with my heart racing, my face burning hot, and I feel dizzy. I just thought it was old age." But when I asked a few more questions, he reached into his pocket and pulled out a bottle of niacin, also known as vitamin B3. He'd been taking it to lower cholesterol, 1,000 milligrams a day, bought online, and had been using it faithfully for the past 6 months. You've probably heard people say niacin is natural, safe, good for the heart, helps lower bad cholesterol. And that can be true, but only within a very small dosage range. At high doses between 500 to 2,000 milligrams per day, niacin causes your blood vessels to expand suddenly and then shrink back, making your blood pressure swing, your heart race, and the blood flow to your brain become unstable. For someone older, like Mr. Frank, with aging blood vessels and a heart that no longer beats as steadily, these sudden shifts can be the final straw. They can trigger a stroke, or something called a TIA, a mini-stroke, where blood temporarily stops flowing to part of the brain. I still remember Mr. Frank's shocked expression when I told him anything above 50 milligrams of niacin per day should be monitored by a doctor. "You've been taking nearly 20 times that. Have you ever taken a moment to really look at your niacin supplement label and ask, is this dose too high? Do I actually need this much? If not, maybe today's the day to read that label carefully, because sometimes what we think is helping our heart might quietly be putting our brain at risk." I want you to imagine a quiet, ordinary morning. Mrs. Margaret, 73 years old, came to see me with a tote bag full of vitamin bottles, vitamin D, EB niacin, you name it. She gently placed them on my desk and said, "Doctor, I've been doing everything right, but I still feel tired, dizzy, and forgetful." Why, I looked at her, smiled gently, and said, "You've been trying so hard. But maybe what your body's asking for is something a little more real, more natural." And so we made some changes together. One by one, the bottles were put away, and in their place, she started each day with simple meals full of real nourishment. A plate of leafy greens, spinach, kale for folate and natural antioxidants. A small piece of salmon or a few sardines rich in omega-3 to feed the brain and the heart. A handful of berries, blueberries, strawberries to calm inflammation and soothe blood vessels. A few almonds or walnuts for natural vitamin E and healthy fats. And a slice of whole grain bread to keep her blood sugar steady and her circulation flowing smoothly. Just a few weeks later, she came back smiling brighter than ever. "I feel like myself again," she said. "My mind is clearer. The dizziness is gone. And I finally feel strong." You see, our bodies were never designed to run on oversized, concentrated pills. They were designed to be nourished gently, steadily, with the colors and flavors of real food. Have you ever looked at your meal and wondered, am I truly feeding my body, or just replacing it with pills? If not, maybe today is the day to try something different. A simple, colorful meal, and let your body thank you in the most natural way it knows how. I want to end today's story with a gentle but important reminder. At 60, 70, or 80 years old, our bodies simply don't process things the way they used to. The liver, kidneys, blood vessels, and nervous system. They all become slower, more delicate, more vulnerable. That's why something as seemingly harmless as a vitamin can become a burden if we overuse it, mix it carelessly, or believe the myth that more is always better. I've met so many patients holding a bottle of vitamins in their hands, eyes full of worry, sighing, "I just wanted to do something good for my health. How did it end up like this?" You don't need to fear vitamins. They're still a wonderful gift when used wisely. The key is to understand them, read the labels, ask your doctor, and most importantly, listen to your own body. That is the real medicine, not more but just enough. Not random, but timely. Not impulsive, but intentional. Have you ever paused and asked yourself, am I truly taking care of my body, or am I unknowingly pushing it too far? If not, maybe today is the day to begin that reflection. And always remember this. You don't need to chase the promises printed on a bottle. All you need is to respect your body, respect the vitamins, and use them with wisdom. And you see, in the end, our health doesn't depend on how many vitamin pills we take, but on how well we understand and care for our bodies with respect and mindfulness. At this stage of life, every small choice matters, and sometimes just pausing, reading carefully, asking questions, and truly listening to your body is already a greater gift than any supplement, the gift of peace and self-trust. I hope today's message gave you something to think about, maybe a little less worry, and a little more confidence in caring for yourself with gentleness and wisdom. If this story touched you or helped you reflect on your own habits, please feel free to leave a comment below. Who knows, your story might give someone else the strength they've been searching for. And if you found this video helpful, please hit the like button. It lets me know you're still here, walking this journey with me. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss the next videos where I'll keep sharing simple, down-to-earth advice to help you live healthier, more confidently, and more peacefully each day. Thank you for listening, for trusting, and for walking alongside me. Wishing you a peaceful evening and a bright, energized tomorrow. See you again in the next helpful video. This video is for informational purposes only. Please consult your doctor before making any health changes.